Hey everybody. Hours after doing that one video, well, actually two videos, sorry, I am back. The long and short of it is I did them before going to grab some Buffalo Wild Wings, buy one, get one free wing Tuesday. And I got the Parmesan garlic, by the way, eating on track. And anyhow, by the way, sidebar, if you're trying to lose weight, I love Buffalo Wild Wings. Like, seriously, they are so good for when you're trying to trim down. In my experience, even, okay, the best thing to get are the dry rubs, but even like some of the sweeter sauces, be careful with them. Like, don't go too much. Like, maybe do a 10 piece where it's like five of the mango or barbecue and then five of like the desert heat or buffalo seasoning or something, salt and vinegar, whatever, Don't go too hard, but yeah, lots of good choices, when it comes to Buffalo Wild Wings if you're trying to lose weight. But that's definitely one of those safe places for me to go. Anyway, back to point is earlier I was bringing up my ex, and I have decided I don't really want to talk about him openly as much. Like, if I talk about him, be more thoughtful about, like, saying, oh yeah, someone I used to know, or this guy I dated once, or something, because the goal is not to be cruel or throw him under the bus. Like, there's nothing he can do about the past. Like, what's happened has happened. And so I just, I want to be more thoughtful as we are cordial and co-parenting and everything, just want to, I just feel like that's for the best. But I brought it up today for the sake of making a point, which is that for me, as the person who did in the relationship, only to then throw myself at him, okay, very humiliating. It was based off of my not being very attractive. If I had had other men who were at least on his level wanting to get at me when the relationship ended, then I never would have looked back. Because I have so much trauma from that relationship that, again, I'm telling you guys, I don't know how else to articulate that point. I never would have looked back. I looked back out of any port in a storm, out of desperation, and that's not me trying to be hateful. It's the truth based off of the fact that I wasn't treated very well, in my opinion. Okay? But I just wanted physical contact. I wanted to hear I love you. I wanted hugs, I wanted kisses, I wanted companionship. And, I probably would have regretted it if we had gotten back together. In fact, I'm like 90 something percent sure I would have. But just the same, like, I wanted those things. And so in moments of desperation, I threw myself at him, And anyway, I'm saying that it never would have happened had I been hotter. Like, one of the saddest things for me to watch, I'm so not kidding about this, is a really pretty woman who has options that can't help herself but make bad decisions when it comes to men. That depresses me so bad. Because to me, it's that that's such a waste of pretty privilege. You know what I mean? And the thought that came to my mind is kind of like if you're someone who's in a wheelchair and you see the people around you who have the ability to walk and run and everything, and they choose to sit down on the couch, and you think to yourself, if I could do that, I would hardly ever sit. Like, if I had the ability to walk, I'd hardly ever sit. I'd be out running and jumping and all that stuff. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, but you tell yourself that because you are at a disadvantage. And I do feel that way. I feel like if I had a lot of men throwing themselves at me, the best man would win. You know, I wouldn't just settle for like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Like, I would pick the one who was the best option. But I do see pretty girls who don't make the best decisions. But I think in general, when you are a pretty girl, it is a little bit harder to pick the loser unless you're doing that shit on purpose. Unless you literally just don't think that you deserve better and you're intentionally picking crappy guys, you know, because you have all this stuff going on in your head where you don't think you deserve a good man, you know. But I forget. Oh, I know what it was. So coming back full circle, having that conversation with my mother, I explained to her, I said, I humiliated myself to my ex the way that I did. Okay. Like, as far as trying to work things out and everything, or sleep with him and all that, because I knew that to get what I really wanted was going to take hard work. It was going to take me getting up and exercising. It was going to take me consistently eating right for an extended amount of time. It was going to take hard work. And why not go to someone who seemingly accepted me just as I was? Heck, he'd been with me when I was bigger than I was at the time that I was trying to, like, you know, fool around with him. Why not go back to that? The thing is, he didn't want to go back to that. And like, if I didn't say this in the videos, because I know I had this on my mind, I think that had I lost weight during our breakup, and I don't mean a little bit of weight, I've lost a little bit of weight, I mean a lot of weight, like where I was when we first hooked up kind of weight, you know, which for me now would be like 50 pounds or so down. Had I done that in the past year, I think that he probably would have been more interested in me. He probably would have reconciled with me or wanted to or whatever. But I didn't give him the glow up for him to be like, oh my gosh, I can't resist her. She's just too hot. It's like, bitch, you're the same person, you know, you're pretty much where I left you, which is not true outside of physical appearance, but that may be how he sees it, you know. So anyway, I don't know, but I just thought that was interesting. And the long and short of it is that instead of working harder to make more money, I just said, okay, what can I get with what I've got? You know, I've got $1. If I go out to work, I can get a lot more than $1, but I don't want to get up and work. I just, you know, I got $1. What can I get for $1? And it's like, oh, well, you can get a guy who, you know, you're not going to have the greatest relationship with, so on and so forth. And it's like, sold. And if you want more, you're going to have to work for it. Point blank, period. Okay? So that's pretty much all I had to say. I know these were rambly. I appreciate you watching. Take care. Bye.